Academic Reading and Writing at Level 7. Tips and tricks to succeeding. My name is Steph Bennett. I'm a Learning Development Tutor in the Hub. Today's aims: to develop knowledge and understanding of academic reading and writing at Level 7 in preparation for upcoming assignments. We will look at breaking down the brief, academic reading, drafting assignments and peel, and academic style. Breaking down the brief. What is it asking me to do? Double check your assignment brief and your assignment type. Have you been asked to write an essay or write a report, or create a presentation or create an academic poster? This should help you to structure your assignment. Double check the weighting. Every module has a certain weighting. If it's 100%, it's probably only one assignment for that module. If it's 50-50, you probably have 2 assignments for the module. The weighting will help you divide up your time in the week to dedicate to creating the assignment. Double check the task description. What is the task description instructing you to do? Is it critically evaluate? Is it critically reflect? Is it argue? We'll have a little task on that in just a moment. What is the big picture topic that you're being asked to discuss? And what lens are you viewing that big picture topic from? Is it that you're going to be focusing on a certain theory through the lens of professional practice? Double check the word count. This will help you to allocate specific word count to each section of the assignment. Double check if you've also been given an extra 10% above or below. Module outcomes. These are the expectations of your assessor. They sit underneath the task description and they are constructively aligned to it. And all that means is the task description evidences the module outcomes. So they make a really great proofreading checklist just before you submit. You can go through them and go, yes, I've hit this module outcome. Yes, I've hit this module outcome. And if the language is a little confusing or difficult to decipher, all you need to do is head to the Learning Development Blackboard under Academic Writing and the section Academic Language. And this should help you to break down some of those module outcomes. The rubric sits at the bottom of your assignment brief, and the rubric gauges how well you've met the module outcomes. At Level 7, typically the rubric focuses on: have you conducted current reading of sources from the last 5 years or 10 years? Have you conducted wider reading beyond the reading list? Have you critically analysed and evaluated theories and professional practice? Have you been objective? Have you looked at both sides of the argument and come to a conclusion? And have you demonstrated sophisticated academic practice, good spelling, punctuation, grammar and APA 7th referencing? Let's get talking. Well, as we're online, let's get thinking. The following terms are typically featured in Level 7 assignment briefs. They are the instruction phrases that I was just talking about. But what do they mean? Here we go. Synthesise, critically evaluate, demonstrate, critically argue, analyse and critically reflect. Pause the video for 4 minutes. Did you get it right? Analyse is to break down a piece of information and explain what is significant about it. Critically reflect is taking that step back, looking at your experiences, actions, values, beliefs, weighing up their strengths and limitations, considering the viewpoints of literature to deepen your understanding. Demonstrate is showing how with examples to illustrate. Critically argue and critically evaluate are very similar. You're looking at the evidence, you're presenting both sides of the arguments, and you're giving a line of reasoning or drawing conclusions showing to what extent you believe the original idea is true or how far you agree with it. And synthesise. This is really important at level 7, and we're going to do a whole section on it today. It's about combining ideas from multiple sources to support a main idea or argument. So when you see a bracket with a bunch of authors' names inside, that is a demonstration of synthesis. Why support with one author when you can support with 2 or 3 or 4? Academic reading. So let's begin with locating suitable literature. Always start with your reading list. What are the core readings? What are the essential readings? Your tutors may expect to see these authors cited in your assignment. Book in with a librarian to help you locate literature. Try using the advanced search on WorldCat. Let's have a look at that now. You can also try Google Scholar and Boolean searching. Here you can see a little Boolean search. Learning theories or learning theory or learning and children. The keywords are placed in double quote marks. Synonyms are separated by the word or. Different words are separated by the word and. Let's have a look at one I made earlier. Once you feel like you've located some literature, let's take books. Search for keywords in the contents and index to help you pinpoint the most suitable and relevant chapters to read. Journals. Read the abstracts, read the conclusions. Are they suitable for close reading or not? Think about the authors that you're reading and the authors they are citing. Can you go and locate some of these sources? This is called reference mining. Do the authors you're reading have other publications? Why not locate these? And when you come to documenting your findings from literature, you may find that a reading table can help you with this. Down the left-hand side, place the APA reference of the source you're reading. In the middle column, as you read, if there are important or significant themes, ideas, arguments, data, quotes, place this information in this section. And finally, the right-hand column. As you read, if you start to see people agreeing with one another or people disagreeing with one another, you can place their names here. Essentially, this starts to build your argument for your assignments and your synthesis. By the way, you can download a copy of this, and there are several more, from the Learning Development Blackboard under Academic Reading. Drafting assignments. Let's go straight to a task. You are drafting an essay. What should feature in the intro, the main body, and the conclusion? Pause the video for 3 minutes and jot down your ideas. As you begin your assignment, create a bones structure, a skeleton structure. And all the information you've placed in your reading table, you can start to feed into the skeleton. Add a bit of meat to the bones. Don't forget to use peel paragraphs. I've put here about 200 words each. It's totally flexible, just don't write in one long continuous chunk because it becomes quite difficult to understand what you're talking about. Use subtitles if you need to or if you've been advised to divide your main body up so it becomes more coherent and structured. Subtitles aren't always needed in essays. So double check with your tutor what their preference is. Introductions. Let's look at how to write an introduction in 4 steps. We're going to start out with a hook sentence to outline the topic and draw in the reader. A catchy one-liner. We're going to move to brief background contextual information to lay the foundations of the essay topic for the reader. And you might find this is where you draw on your first set of citations. Then, because it's an essay, we're going to move to something called a thesis statement. This is where you're going to lay out your argument or the message you want to convey to the reader. Please note, thesis statements are typically associated with essays. In other assignment types, you could kind of take this out and replace it with something called focus and purpose, as in what is the assignment focusing on and why. And finally, step 4 is a map. Here you're going to signpost the reader through your essay, and it might sound a little bit like, accordingly, this essay will begin by discussing. Subsequently, it will explore, concluding that. Now let's move to the main body. We use peel paragraphs in our main bodies. We start out with a point, which is a clear and explicit statement. We back the point up with some evidence. Maybe that is a theory. Maybe it is evidence from professional practice. Maybe somebody's done a research study and we are using their findings to back up the point. Then we need to explain what this evidence is telling us. What does it suggest? How might it be interpreted? Why is it significant? And finally, we wrap up the paragraph with a link sentence. This is where you state how this paragraph links back into the central topic of the assignment, the question the assignment is based on, or the overall argument. And here are some examples. Okay, this is a nuts and bolts example, so it's not quite finished. We've got a point. Scaffolding can facilitate differentiation between pupils of different abilities. Then we've gone to the literature. Firstly, we've got Smith, who's advocating for scaffolding. Then we've got a synthesis of sources. We've got Barnett, Travis and ZB in alphabetical order, not chronological order. You can also see evidence from placement has been added in here. Then we've got the explanation. What does the information suggest? Why is it significant? And finally, everything's tied up neatly at the end. As a result, this strategy will complement my future professional practice because, please bear in mind, Barnett, Travis and ZB are not real authors. They are made-up authors. You will see their names in a lot of my videos. I just use them as a good example of synthesizing in alphabetical order. Let's look at another example. Here's one about poverty. Poverty can have a particularly negative impact on a child's physical development. Then we've drawn on a synthesis of sources again, the EEF and Joseph Rowntree Foundation. Then we've drawn on evidence from the NHS. Then we've moved to the critical explanation. As a result, a clear link can be drawn between poverty and poor physical development in children. We've further bolstered this explanation by using White and Young. While this does not suggest that all children who come from low socioeconomic backgrounds will be physically weak, it does suggest that they may be more at risk of suffering poor physical development. Now let's tie everything neatly at the end with a link. This is something that settings can address by providing opportunities for healthy meals, such as breakfast clubs and free school lunches, and by educating parents on cheap and healthy nutrition choices. And now let's look at a final example. This is our guide to synthesizing literature. It's available for you to look at on the Learning Development Blackboard. On the left-hand side are the instructions, and on the right-hand side is a really strong example of a peel paragraph. In fact, this peel paragraph is more towards what you're aiming for at level 7. You can see it is written in a peel format, but it has a topic sentence. If you need more information on topic sentences, head to Scribbr, head to Learn, and type in the search bar topic sentence. You can see there are no direct quotes, only paraphrasing, which demonstrates that the information has been read, absorbed and interpreted. You can see there is signposting language to help the reader as they go through the paragraph. Phrases like, this is supported by, this highlights that. You can see there is hedging language. This notion could be applied, can therefore be argued. So try and use hedging language in your own writing. There's a lovely triangle of literature here. We've got the theories from Castagno and McKinley, Harberman et al. And McConnell et al. We've got Noddin's seminal literature and Walker. We've also got governmental guidance through the teachers' standards and the national curriculum. And then we've tied it all together with research outcomes from Page's study. So we're constantly bolstering the point we're trying to make. Obviously, there is synthesised literature in here because that's why I'm showing you it. There's also really good spelling, punctuation and grammar, and good use of APA. If you need help with your referencing, head to the Academic Integrity Guide on Blackboard. Now let's move to the conclusion. We'll start our conclusion by referring to the thesis statement. Or, if it's not an essay, you could restate the focus and purpose of the assignment. Then you're going to pull together the main points. And you're going to reiterate their significance. Make it matter. And finally, you are going to consider next steps. Does the literature shape your future professional practice? Is there a gap in literature that warrants further research? What is the impact of the argument that you have had in your assignment? Important note, there are many types of assignments, from academic blogs and posters to essay reports and presentations, as I've mentioned. These structures that I've just gone through, the intro, main body and conclusion, are conventional, but they are not definitive. Sometimes essay structures may deviate from convention, but don't worry. Always follow the guidance of your tutors and the structures they provide you via Blackboard. Academic style. Academic writing should be clear, concise and understandable. You are aiming for unity, get to the point and stick to the point, and cohesion, a nice flow from sentence to sentence, from paragraph to paragraph, telling the reader the narrative. Avoid starting sentences with but, because or and. Avoid contractions like don't. Always use do not. Always cite in text, and it might look a little something like this: author surname, year and page number. Just note here the page number has a space after P full stop before the 56. Always reference at the end in a reference list. Here is an example of, this is by the way a fake book, but a fake online book. We've got the author surname, comma, initial, full stop, the year in brackets followed by a full stop, the title of the book in italics followed by the edition in non-italic type but placed in brackets, followed by the publisher and a link to the online book. For more information, head to the Academic Integrity Guide on Blackboard. In your academic writing, avoid trying to sound what you might think being academic is. You just need to be clear. Sometimes we confuse what sounding academic is with something along these lines. I do not possess a longing for material goods positioned beneath the festively adorned coniferous vegetation, nor do I harbour any inclination towards receptacles suspended from the mantle, laden with insignificant yet charming objects. The melodic chimes of jingling apparatuses, I'm not going to read any more. This makes very little sense, and this is not what we want to see. We just want you to be super clear. But now that we're here, can you tell what this is? Did you get it right? Yes, it is. Mariah Carey, the dreaded All I Want for Christmas Is You. Let's try another. Our collective habitation occurs within an aquatic transportation apparatus of a particular chromatic hue, said apparatus being primarily distinguished by its vibrant canary pigmentation, repeated thrice for emphasis, a vividly citrine submersible. Confusing, but did you get it right? We all live in a yellow submarine. It is the Beatles. No, that's not what we want you to write like. Be clear, so we can gauge what you're trying to say. Sentence structure, finding that flow. So one of the most common things that I come across in learning development is run-on sentences that last 3 lines or longer, sentences without correct punctuation, or sentences that kind of just don't read quite right, a little bit awkward. So let's have a look at 2 examples here. Which do you feel is the strongest and why? Pause the video for 3 minutes. Did you get it right? It is the second one. But can you tell why? Well, firstly, it's not a run-on sentence. Remember at the start I mentioned about sentences that run 3 lines or longer. So actually this is broken down a little bit like a peel paragraph. There are 4 sections to it. So we've separated with full stops and commas. We've got that signposting language in there, ultimately and as a result. And we haven't just got one long, continuous, hard to read sentence like the top example. So we're going for the bottom and not the top. Keep that in mind. 3 lines or longer. Do you need to dip back in and separate by using full stops? Or could you streamline your phrasing to make things more succinct? And final tips. If you're struggling to find literature because the sources you're looking for are not in print anymore, we don't have a copy on WorldCat, and you can't get them elsewhere, try Internet Archive. If you need support with academic writing, or when you get to your dissertations, head to Scribbr for step-by-step guides. If you need help with sentence starters, mainly to stop you from procrastinating and doing something else because you can't get started with your writing, head to Academic Phrasebank. There are literally hundreds of sentence starters on there. Let's have a look at some of those now. And finally, to complement Scribbr, Grad Coach is really great for dissertation guides. You might have to type into Google Grad Coach and then the title of the chapter in order to find their guides, but I assure you they are there. Let's have a look at an example of one now. And finally, moving forward, head to the Learning Development Blackboard course for step-by-step guides to academic reading, academic writing, referencing, reflection, etc. The Academic Integrity Guide Blackboard course is for citations and references in APA 7th. You can also book a one-to-one with Learning Development to help with academic literacies, with Digital Learning to help with digital pedagogies, and with the library to locate literature. My email is on the screen if you'd like to get in touch with questions or suggestions. Thank you for being with me today, and I'll see you soon.